Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Okay. This is kind of repeating what some other people have said, but we go to the Tesla protests and we come to these events. I even went to D.C. for the hands-off. It just doesn't seem like enough. I mean, you're pissed, I'm pissed, we're all pissed, and we come here and we talk, but there doesn't seem to be anything really meaningful that we can do.
Well, Mike, thank you especially for going to the Tesla protest. It is very meaningful. When the president and Republican members of Congress see these protests popping up all over the country, they know that they're heading down the wrong path. And whether it's tariffs or our foreign policy or cuts to Medicaid and Medicare and threats to Social Security, they know that the American people are not happy about this. The big question is, at what point do they feel it's going to affect their electoral success in the next election? I'm not so sure they're there yet. Now, the president he built a base of support that in some ways I think is kind of unprecedented with the support of the Republican Party, the base of the Republican Party behind one guy. But well, let me just say, political gravity is a real thing. I know a little bit about gravity. And political gravity is a real thing. The gravity is going to increase on this guy. He is going to become less popular because his policies are not popular. And as he becomes less popular, as he drops down into the low 40s in approval rating, and then into the 30s, the Republicans in the House and the Senate are going to start to distance themselves from him. And they'll start to speak up, and they will get off the sidelines. So many of them are just sitting on the sidelines. They'll tell Senator Booker and I stuff in private they would never say in public about him. And what you're doing, showing up at these events, has a huge impact. So please don't stop. And talk about these issues. I think it was Susan, or it wasn't Ramona, I think it was Susan was talking about Medicaid. I think it's important for folks to know here that we don't have multiple different healthcare systems in the state of Arizona. There's not a healthcare system for people on Medicaid, and another one for people on Medicare, and another one for private insurance or private payer. It's all the same system, and the foundation of that system in the state of Arizona and in other states is Medicaid. If we kick 400,000 people off of Medicaid, hospitals like TMC, where Gabby was born, and our grandkid was born at TMC, or Banner, they lose a significant amount of revenue. But they don't lose the patients. They just stop getting paid for them. But they have to lay off staff, and they have to cut expenses. And what that will do, it will collapse the rest of the healthcare system. So it doesn't matter if you're on Medicaid or not. You should be against these Medicaid cuts, because regardless of who you are, they're going to affect you.
So I can't help but wanting to just say to you, they want you to feel powerless. They want to overwhelm you. They want to make you think that you can't stop this. They want you to make you think that you are ultimately incapable of stopping their power and their might. But I want to tell you this right now, that we
Excuse me. No, I'm sorry. We'll let you speak if you want to speak. But if you don't sit down, we're going to have to bring you out. You will have to leave, ma'am. Alrighty. We totally understand you. We understand. But you're going to have to leave, ma'am. You made your point, ma'am. You made your point. You're going to have to leave. You are going to have to leave. You made your point, ma'am. the next speaker? Alrighty, I think it's Victoria. Victoria.
So
We do care. We do care. And what is happening in the world is horrific, and we absolutely understand.
if I may, a couple things.
Go ahead, Senator.
If I may, a couple things. First of all, I applaud what she did. There are veterans here. There are veterans here that fought for the right for free speech,
Yes.
fought for the right to protest. And this is the traditions from which we come.
Yes.
When did the protesters around the abolitionist movement, were they successful? Which one was the one that stopped? But those noble people who stood up and said this is wrong, they eventually together made a difference. In the suffrage movement, in the civil rights movement, I hear their voices. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, but she kept fighting. And so I'm telling you right now, I have seen movements come. When we fought against the health care cuts that they wanted to stop, they wanted to tear down the Affordable Care Act affecting 20 million people. It was a slow-growing movement. When he started, the actual approval rating of the Affordable Care Act was underwater. By the time John McCain took that vote, the people spoke up, Republicans, Democrats, Independents, and they had moved it to be so popular and so demanded for by the people that politicians had to respond. Do not let them in any way make you believe that you showing up to forums like this, to forums like, we've got to do this more in New Jersey, the Tesla protests, that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And I want you to know, just again, the last thing I'll say, Mark has heard this story. There was a white guy on a couch in 1965 watching TV, and he saw these marchers in 1965, in March of 65, trying to get across the Edmund Pettus Bridge. And he was so upset about what was going on after seeing them brutally beaten for Bloody Sunday that this guy thought he was going to go to Alabama, but he's a lawyer. He had a law firm. He couldn't afford to do it and sat back on the couch. But then he decided, I'm not going to let my inability to do everything to undermine my determination to do something. Mm-hmm. This is 65, years before the 1968 Fair Housing Act. He started deciding that I'm going to work more pro bono work with the Fair Housing Council of Northern New Jersey. And he started getting pretty good with helping them take black families denied housing in large areas of the wealthy, affluent suburbs of New Jersey, representing them, sending white couples behind them. When they were told the house was sold, the black couple would leave, and the white couple would come and find out it was still for sale. They exposed it. They brought public attention and the like. And finally in 68, the law was passed, and now he was on the right side of the law. But let me tell you something. One of the families he represented in a very dramatic way, they were denied housing. White couple found the house was still for sale. They put a bid on the house for the black family. On the day of the closing, the white family didn't show up. The black father did, and a volunteer lawyer, the real estate agent, saw that he was caught in this and stood up so angry that this guy exposed what he was doing. He punched the lawyer in the face and sigged the dog on the black man. Well, the black man fought off the Doberman Pinscher. There was a lot of violence in the area, but they left. They wrote letters back and forth. The media found out. The owners of the house were so embarrassed, they sold the house to the black family, and they moved into the town, first black family ever to integrate this large area of northern New Jersey. And then 43 years later, the baby in that family goes to be America's 4th black person ever elected to the United States Senate, me. And so I am here because one person on a couch during a moral moment didn't just sit there, he got up and did something. Do not underestimate every single day. No person standing up for a cause of justice is ever doing anything in vain.
That's right.
It makes more of a difference than you realize.
That's right.